Welcome, adventure seekers, to the D23 Fantastic World celebration. We're so glad you've come along for the ride. At D23, the official Disney fan club, we celebrate all the worlds of Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel with VIP experiences, special offers, exclusive content, and more all year round. Now buckle up and be sure to stay tuned for a special membership offer from D23. Now please enjoy EPCOT, the magic of possibility.
Hi everybody, I'm Walt Disney World Resort Ambassador Marilyn West, and welcome to EPCOT, the magic of possibility. Today, we're going to learn about the historic transformation happening at EPCOT right now. We're going to take a look at some recent highlights inside the park and dive into the creation of Remy's Ratatouille adventure with our partners at Walt Disney Imagineering and Pixar Animation. First, I'd like to welcome EPCOT Vice President Melissa Valiquette and Zach Riddley, Walt Disney World Site Portfolio Executive with Walt Disney Imagineering. Hello, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey Marilyn, great to see you.
Hi.
I'm so excited that you're here today. We're going to have so much fun. So, Melissa and Zach, to kick us off, you both have been working together for a couple years now with EPCOT in the midst of an historic transformation. So can you tell us about what your jobs entail?
Sure, I'll start, Marilyn. You know, Zach and I have been so fortunate to lead two teams who work together so beautifully and truly who love this park as much as any of our EPCOT fans. I lead the operating team for EPCOT. Our role is to bring the vision of the park to life each day for our guests and to make sure that they're having an excellent experience. I'm responsible for managing the park's daily operations. So that's everything from rides and attractions to restaurants, to our retail shops, our custodial operation, live entertainment, and of course our signature festivals. And it's also my responsibility and my pleasure to partner with Zach and the WDI team to represent the park's needs in all of our future development.
Yeah, and my role as Site Portfolio Executive allows me to lead the Imagineering efforts across all of Walt Disney World. So I get to oversee the talented teams that are creating and building new ideas across the whole property. And the transformation of EPCOT is one of our top priorities. And Melissa and I have partnered together for, I think it's 4 years now on this vision for EPCOT. And we were together last year at the D23 Expo in Anaheim. And that was our chance to reveal this full vision to the world, which we're excited about. And we were together again in July when EPCOT reopened to guests. And we have so much more ahead, and we're excited for everyone to see.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you know, from previous conversations that we've had, I can really tell that both of you are super passionate about EPCOT, and you know that our fans are as well. So, Melissa, what do you feel creates such a strong emotional connection between EPCOT and our guests since the park opened all the way back in 1982?
You know, there is just something really special about EPCOT. I personally think that EPCOT represents something that feels good to almost all of us. It's that spirit of optimism about our world and its possibilities. EPCOT really embodies that in so many ways. It's the best of our world. And, you know, there are many guests and cast members who are drawn to EPCOT for so many personal reasons. Maybe it was the first time they were exposed to foreign countries, or the first time they saw a technology that made their jaw drop, or the first time that they realized learning and worldliness and intelligence are cool. And I just love that about this park. Personally, I've had many wonderful memories over the years at EPCOT that have really given me such a soft spot in my heart for it. Probably the most memorable was that my husband and I used to visit this park really often while we were dating, and he proposed to me in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower in the France Pavilion more than 25 years ago. You know, I look back on that time and I think we didn't have passports. We had never been out of the country at that point. But we felt like that this was our little piece of the world. And today we take pride in having traveled to nearly every site represented in World Showcase. But, you know, this is why we say EPCOT is about the magic of possibility. There are things that are only possible at EPCOT when the power of the human imagination is combined with the magic of Disney. And I think that's what makes it so special.
That's really special. Now, Zach, I'm going to turn to you. There's a lot happening in the park right now as a part of this transformation we mentioned a moment ago. Can you talk a bit about your personal connection to this park and also the origins of this unprecedented period of expansion?
Yeah, of course. Epcot is a park that inspires and it challenges the dreamer in all of us. My first visit to Epcot was as a kid, and I was fascinated by the stories of the world and the sort of the real and the fantastic and how that came together in a Disney way. And this park has also such a bold sense of design. I think, for me, that struck me even as a kid. And every time I come back to the park, it has such a unique sensibility that for us as designers actually is, an inspiration for how we work and bring new ideas to the park. And this is a park that inspired me to first become an architect and later an Imagineer. So it's very special to me, and it's a great opportunity to get to be able to lead the team bringing this transformation to life. Epcot has a unique personality that we as designers love and respect, and we're finding that inspiration for our projects in these original elements of the park. Walt Disney himself said, Epcot should always be in a state of becoming a park that looks to the future. And this will be one of the largest and most impactful transformations in the park's almost 40-year history. So, for us, that's a tremendous responsibility and also a great chance to bring new ideas and new stories to life in a park in a uniquely Epcot way. And that's a really critical part, I think, of all the elements and all the history that lives in this park that we know and love. As part of this transformation, we're starting all the way at the top. We're introducing a new organization for the park, creating 4 neighborhoods: World Celebration, World Nature, World Discovery, and of course, World Showcase.
How fun. Well, this multi-year transformation is already underway. So if you take a walk through the park right now, you'll see a lot of what some people might call construction walls. But Melissa, I understand you have a different name for them?
We do, progress walls. It's funny, as we were working through this whole transformation, someone on our team said, it's like you can see progress everywhere. And, that's the truth. So we've renamed them progress walls because we're a park that celebrates progress, and it's happening right before our eyes. We think these walls are a great sign to our guests that we're pouring so much into the park, and we want our guests to come along on the journey. In fact, that's also what led us to create the Epcot Experience Center at the Odyssey Pavilion. There's growth and excitement and progress all around us, and we're celebrating it.
I love that. It's not all progress walls. There's several new experiences that have already debuted. So how have our guests reacted to these recent enhancements?
They're loving them. We're so fortunate that even though this transformation of our park is happening over the course of several years, we don't have to wait for everything to open at once at the end. There's always something new to see. Earlier this year, we debuted 3 new films: Awesome Planet at the Land, Canada Far and Wide at the Canada Pavilion, and The Beauty and the Beast Sing-Along at the France Pavilion. And, we're also proud of the responsible way that we've reopened the park this summer. We knew having plenty of outdoor dining would be really important to our guests in this time. And so offering this Taste of Epcot International Food and Wine Festival was a big hit. Our guests have really loved visiting the festival, and they've told me that it's helped them celebrate and embrace something that's familiar and finding comfort in the midst of this very difficult time in our world. We're going to continue this sort of Taste of theme for now, and we're really looking forward to the Taste of Epcot International Festival of the Holidays, which will start next week, and then later in January, our Festival of the Arts. So there are a lot of great festival opportunities for our guests, along with, of course, our many Epcot attractions and experiences to keep things fresh around here.
The design of World Celebration is really special and something guests are already getting to see. What can we look forward to as this exciting and impactful part of the transformation continues?
Well, Marilyn, work is really taking shape at the park entrance. The new design there is welcoming our guests with this beautiful new color palette. It's so open, inviting, beautiful new landscapes. The first impression, as we're hearing it from our guests, is simply around the ease of arrival. It's such a smoother process getting from your car into the park, seeing that beautiful icon as you enter the park. It's a really nice evolution.
And a big part of our vision for World Celebration starts right at the front entrance, as Melissa described. And for us, one of the defining features of this transformation for all of Epcot is color. And color gives us an opportunity to bring a new palette to the design that's inspired by an entire spectrum that each of the colors we're using are chosen to perfectly fit within and accentuate the park's aesthetic. We're also taking this opportunity to not only use color, but iconography, bringing the unique pavilion iconography that the park opened with, but also bringing some new designs in so that we can incorporate that into the fabric of the park. And color, which is a big part of this visual identity, is something that's been inspired even back when we first started on the design. And, for our teams, really looking at this bold, bright spectrum of colors. This is something that we had developed as part of the D23 Expo, but these colors are part of that inspiration. And actually, it's exciting for me now to see these types of color ideas start to show up and be revealed in the park with our new color scheme. One area you can see this is our new color palette for the ticket booths that greet you right when you come to the front of Epcot. And we have that spectrum across each of those structures, again, boldly speaking to the vibrancy and the identity that is unique to Epcot.
It really is rewarding watching it come to life every day, Zach. And, I know many of our Epcot fans will be excited that in that area right outside the park before you enter will be our Leave a Legacy images as well.
Yeah, and for us, another one of these design features of Epcot that is so unique is typography. And this is, for us, is something that, again, creates a unique visual identity that makes the park environment cohesive. And did you know that Epcot had its own font when it was created called World Bold? And our team has actually taken this font, we've updated it, we've expanded it, we've created new font families that we can use everywhere in our design. And we're now starting to see those designs show up in the park experience in new graphics and signage and wayfinding. So bringing color and graphics and this unique font to life in a way that unifies the park, but also is one of those uniquely Epcot touches. And this extends even to our new logo for the park, which we've been excited to roll out now for over a year. And we're starting to see that show up not only physically in the park design, but in park maps and all the other marketing materials and things that introduce the idea and the excitement of Epcot to our guests. And for me, one of the elements is every design choice we make, we want it to be bold, we want it to be speaking to the spirit of Epcot and be something that's unmistakably Epcot.
Distinctly Epcot. You can also see that new visual identity on the fountain pylons that we installed earlier this year, and they're visible to our guests today. These pylons evoke the park's original fountain design, which is very beloved, making that fountain a symbolic bridge that connects the past, the present, and the future of Epcot. We can't wait to debut the completed fountain design later this year.
And these beautiful pylons, they draw your eye upward and they perfectly frame Spaceship Earth. And this inspiration goes back to the opening of the park. In fact, I have an opening day park ticket where the artwork that's featured on this park ticket shows the inspiration for not only Spaceship Earth and this entrance plaza, but these pylons. And again, as a defining feature that for us, not only we were interested in recreating this iconic look, but also introducing new features. And this fountain will feature a new lighting design that will accentuate these sculptural elements at night. And our team cannot wait to reveal this to the world. And speaking of night, to complement the design of World Celebration, our teams are beginning work on an enhanced lighting package coming to the exterior of Spaceship Earth that will activate this area of the park like never before. This lighting design will allow us to create custom programming that connects this icon of Epcot to its surroundings and perfectly encapsulates the park transformation. Again, taking this symbol of optimism and hope and collaboration across culture and time, and really creating a unique evening moment that, again, will make Epcot such a defining feature at night.
Wow, I am so excited for all of this, but let's move on to a different neighborhood. What can you tell me about the Future World Discovery?
Well, hot off the press, Marilyn, our Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind project team has hit a huge milestone and begun a process that we call push-pull, where we actually put the ride vehicles on the track for the very first time. So here is a first look inside this attraction's ride track, where we're able to see the vehicles sitting on our installed track. This is such an exciting moment, and we're happy to be able to share with you, our D23 fans. Construction on the attraction is progressing, and I've been out on the site, and I can tell you all that I've seen firsthand is going to be out of this world.
And speaking of out of this world, as Josh showed us earlier this week, we're making great progress at our Space 220 restaurant. It will be one of a kind and out of this world for sure.
Now let's talk Harmonious. We're all really excited about Harmonious, the new nighttime spectacular coming to Epcot, and saw a couple of updates from Josh earlier this week. Can you tell us more about these recent milestones?
Yes, of course. This is a grand, original spectacular unique to Epcot with its message of global connection. This show celebrates Disney music and stories that are inspired and influenced by people and cultures from around the world. It's a massive and ambitious show we're bringing to life on the largest lagoon in any Disney park. And we've developed one of the largest toolkits ever constructed to tell this story in a truly awe-inspiring way. Teams from Walt Disney Imagineering and Disney Parks Live Entertainment have been hard at work creating the impressive infrastructure behind our new show. We have 5 enormous floating platforms positioned like a compass on World Showcase Lagoon. These will house the primary show equipment for the spectacular. These platforms will support an iconic 6-story tall central ring structure and water curtain, 4 double-sided LED walls standing 25 feet tall, and 8 54-foot-long moving arms, along with moving lights and fountains and lasers and more. We are pulling out all the stops to make Epcot the place to be at night. In fact, we'll even have the first of these floating platforms headed out to the lagoon to begin testing very soon.
Yeah, Zach, it's a really exciting time in the park, and I just know these show elements will become a defining feature of Epcot. Their scale gives us a chance to bring a beautiful new ambient daytime look to the World Showcase Lagoon with water fountains that perfectly situate these elements within World Showcase. And of course, the real magic will happen at night when they come alive.
Now, surrounding the lagoon are 11 pavilions of World Showcase. So how does this area connect to Harmonious in the park's transformation overall?
Yeah, World Showcase is the neighborhood where we celebrate the real countries and the fantastic Disney stories that they inspired. And this neighborhood is about the real world in all its wonder and diversity, told through architecture and art and food, language, and cultural celebrations that give our guests a chance to travel the world in a day. We have 11 permanent pavilions, but we also expand our storytelling through an amazing range of festivals that bring Epcot to life, and that gives us a chance to bring in new countries and cultural elements and flavors throughout the seasons and evolving year after year.
World Showcase is certainly growing and thriving with new stories and new offerings for our guests. And as Zach mentioned, our festivals allow us to bring new offerings 4 new times every year, which is a great chance for us and for our guests to create and enjoy something new. And in addition to that, we're really excited in the park about our new Regal Eagle Smokehouse, which has brought a fun new feel and wonderful smells to the American Adventure Pavilion. You can see some fun nods in there to Sam Eagle, who's hosting a salute to all cook-offs, but mostly barbecue. And of course, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which is coming to World Showcase in 2021, will be a very exciting addition. Ratatouille fits perfectly into the Epcot transformation. It's uniquely French. It's all about great food and fun, just like Epcot. And to have this fun new attraction on the west side of World Showcase for kids and families alike is really going to be a game changer. And don't forget our new restaurant, Le Crêperie de Paris, which will also be coming next year to the France Pavilion. You won't want to miss it. I'm excited to hear Tom, Roger, and Harley today as they share even more about this special new attraction with you.
There's so much more coming to Epcot as part of the transformation, and we cannot wait to continue to share more first looks and in-depth details behind our designs and inspirations over the months and years ahead.
So when we talk about this transformation of Epcot, at the end of the day, what do you hope that our guests take home once they experience this entire transformation?
You know, Marilyn, for me, when I think about Epcot, I think Epcot is a park that our guests truly cherish. It has been a park where they've grown lifelong memories. And for those guests who have known and loved Epcot for many years, I think I will define this transformation as a success if we capitalize on all of the things that have made that generation of guests love this park. But we also bring new and inviting and exciting content to this park that introduces Epcot to a whole new generation in the future. Epcot has so much more to give, and it's got such a special place in everyone's hearts that to me, that's how I'll define success for this.
For me, Epcot is a park about people. This is a park that features all the ideas and the cultures and the elements that inspire us, but it brings us together. And I think that's one of the underlying strengths of the park that connects the Disneyness of what makes Epcot with the broader message that I think resonates with millions of guests who've spent generations visiting this park and all the future guests who are going to come and enjoy Epcot. As a design team, we take this responsibility really seriously. Epcot has a tremendous legacy, and it also has a tremendous future. And it's a great opportunity to come and bring this to life for our guests that know and love the park today, but also all the guests are going to come and experience and build their own memories with Epcot in the future.
All right, well, before we wrap up, I see that you've got some really interesting offices there, and you clearly have so much passion for Epcot. So for all of our fans out there, can you share with us one thing you have in your office that maybe is really special to you?
Sure, I'll start. My office is full of things from my career. I've been with Disney 25 years, so I have some great mementos from my years in all of the parks. But a couple of things that are really special to me about Epcot. One, this train you can see right behind me. While it certainly looks like a Magic Kingdom souvenir, it was a gift from our engineering services team here at Epcot. One of my favorite places in the park is our train garden at Germany, our miniature train garden at Germany. And when I first came to Epcot about 5 years ago, it was in need of a little bit of love. And so I worked together with the engineering services team. We invested some money and we really spruced it up and made it brought it back to its glory days. And so it's one of my favorite places to be. And we have several engineers here in the park who just take such a special passion around that train garden. And so we kind of bonded over it. And in addition to that great little train, they also gave me my own Epcot train engineer conductor hat. So those
are good on you.
Thank you. A couple of my favorites. The other, I don't have the best of souvenirs, but I have to say my favorite character, like so many of our Epcot fans, is Figment. And so this is my giant mug that I use every day with Figment on it.
That's great. I don't know if I can top that, but I'll try. So here in my home office, I've got a lot of great things, not just from Epcot, but for our work across Walt Disney World. But one of the most exciting things we get to do is see our model makers bring physical designs of our projects to life. And we use all kinds of tools to do this. But one of the things we do is digitally scan items and create models from those scans. And when I first got onto the Epcot project, I asked the teams, I said, what's one of the most difficult models you have to build? And they said, without a doubt, Spaceship Earth. I thought they'd say the castle. They said Spaceship Earth. So when I stepped into this role helping oversee Epcot, they created for me my very own Spaceship Earth, which I have here. And it's actually a 3D grown model, which you can kind of see here with a couple of my friends, your favorite characters, Melissa with Figment and Dreamfinder. But for me, I always love and see this as a part of the Epcot work and design. So I keep it here in my office to remind me of kind of all the work we have ahead, and there's just the tremendous talent behind the scenes with our design teams that help bring all of this work to life. And I'm so grateful they gifted this to me.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa and Zach, for all of that great Epcot insight. I can really feel how much you both just love this park and how much you and your teams are putting into this transformation. We're certainly looking forward to an exciting future for Epcot. Here to tell us more about the next phase of this transformation, Remy's Ratatouille adventure, and the expansion of the France Pavilion is Tom Fitzgerald. Hey Tom, how are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Good. We're so excited that you're here. Tom is the Portfolio Creative Executive for Walt Disney Imagineering. Next, we have Roger Gould. Hey, Roger.
Hi there. Happy to be here to talk about Ratatouille.
Me too. Roger is the creative director for Pixar Animation Studios' Theme Parks Group. And last but not least, we have Harley Jessup. Hey there, Harley.
Hi, Marilyn. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Harley is our production designer on a number of Pixar films, including Ratatouille. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to get this conversation started. What do you guys think? Do we get started?
Yeah.
Great. Oui. Well, to start off our conversation, Tom, I'm going to ask you the first question. What is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure?
Well, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is a family fun attraction where we shrink you down to the size of a rat and you have this grand misadventure with Remy and his friends through the kitchen, the dining room, and the walls even of Gusteau's famous restaurant from Ratatouille. But that's one piece of the expansion. We also have a beautiful park with a fountain and benches. We have a creperie. We have a news kiosk. In fact, there's so much here that we really think of this area as a mini land now, a beautiful expansion to the France Pavilion at World Showcase at EPCOT.
Wow, I think our guests are just so excited about this. And a version of this attraction originally debuted at Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris, and it's been a huge hit with our guests there. So what made it an appealing addition for EPCOT?
Well, when Ratatouille first came out, it's one of my favorite Pixar films. And it is such a Valentine to Paris, to France, and to cuisine of the country. And so we knew we had to do something and really wanted to do something at Disneyland Paris with Ratatouille. The attraction has been so popular, as we said, that when we started thinking about the transformation of EPCOT and World Showcase, it was a natural to bring it to the France Pavilion. I mean, EPCOT is really the celebration of the real world made fantastic. And what could be more fantastic than the real world of Paris coming to life through Ratatouille?
So tell me, are there some new details about Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in EPCOT that are different from the Disneyland Paris attraction that inspired it?
Well, I'll start off just shortly and tee it to these guys. The attraction is very, very similar to the attraction in Paris. But outside of the attraction, the whole world that it sits in has been designed specifically for the France Pavilion EPCOT. And they should talk, Roger and Harley, you should talk about what you did to create this new environment for Ratatouille at EPCOT.
I could kick it off. But what's so fantastic, even when we were building the Ratatouille land and attraction in Paris, we kind of dreamed of bringing it to the France Pavilion at EPCOT. It just seemed like such a perfect fit. And now what's so beautiful in EPCOT is you have that representation of the authentic country. But now we have this beautiful new kind of escape that you're going to go around and discover that you're now in Remy's Paris. And that was really one of the choices we had to figure out when we were first building this in Paris, and we kind of use that philosophy here, is that in the film, it's not authentic Paris. It's a beautiful caricature love letter of Paris. And so we really wanted to express that this is Ratatouille's Paris. And there are a lot of little hints and winks to that throughout.
That's what I'm especially excited about. This has been an amazing journey from first researching the movie and designing the film to see it all come to life, first in Paris, now at EPCOT. It's like a dream. And to see the quality and the new details in the EPCOT architecture, the entrance, it's just very exciting, very satisfying, and kind of amazing to be able to walk into a set that originally just existed on film.
Sorry, one of the most spectacular new details that's unique to the EPCOT Ratatouille experience is the beautiful marquee that Harley designed and that our lead sculptor at Pixar, Jerome Brown, sculpted this beautiful tableau of Remy among food, and it's going to be the entrance, the marquee for the attraction itself.
The quality of every detail that the Imagineering team created is so high, it's just breathtaking.
But there are certainly some similarities to the inspiration from Disneyland Paris as well. So can you speak to some of those fan favorite design details?
One of the most spectacular elements of the area development is this beautiful fountain that we designed. And to that point, the fountain from a distance feels like an authentic Parisian fountain, but as you get close to it, you find that it's really a celebration of the rats. There are rats holding champagne bottles that are shooting water into the air, and at the very top of the fountain is a beautiful figure of Remy himself holding a spoon and wearing his little chef's hat, his toque.
And then we also have, because our arrangement is different than what we had in Paris, we needed to come up with some theatrical fronts of shops. So Ego from the film has a wine shop along the street. And if you look very carefully, you can see the doorway and the plaque of the inspector, the health inspector who was in the movie. So we like to put lots of little hidden things in there for the guests to discover, because we know they'll come back again and again, and they'll discover new little bits and pieces that are surprise and delight moments.
I like that in the new attraction, you included something that we wanted to get in the film, the sort of marketplace pavilion, that iron structure, which is based on the old Les Halles Parisian marketplace. We had a scene like that in the film, and now and it got cut. But now to see that full size at EPCOT is amazing.
And what's really fun about that canopy is that it really provides a transition for us from the more real architecture of Paris to stepping through that into the more stylized fantasy architecture of Ratatouille.
Yeah, we had to really dig in at the very beginning of the whole process of creating this attraction. First thing we did was invite the Imagineers up to Pixar, and Harley gave us an incredible deep dive into the design philosophy of the film and really exposed us to the way that even the buildings, as well as the characters, the kitchen, all the details were caricatured. And we ended up coining a term, crookedology, to help explain to all the partners who were working on this project what Harley's philosophy was.
Well, let's focus on that interesting word I just heard you say, crookedology. Can you tell me a little bit more about that concept?
Well, we were trying to do our version of Paris, a stylization, a caricature, that we discovered that by giving it a handmade feel that was building off of the irregular sag and lean of the beautiful Paris buildings, warmed up the environment. We took everything off of being straight to, as Roger is talking about, making things a little crooked, a little irregular, you could feel the human hand, a handmade feel, a sculptural feel. And so that's one of the most exciting things to see in these full-size buildings that are now at EPCOT, that they incorporate that sense of sculpture, sense of history, and a human quality that is part of the appeal of Ratatouille.
Yeah, even if you look at the archway leading into the attraction building and you look at each of those stones, you'll see that there's actually a variation in shape and size. It's not uniform, it's not mechanical. And of course, uniform and mechanical are things that both the computer is good at and engineers are good at. So it's really an incredible partnership to get the architects, the engineers, and everyone to embrace making things askew, making things irregular, so that they have that human handmade touch.
So this principle of taking an animated production concept such as crookedology and bringing it to life in our real world seems to be a perfect example of the collaboration you all have between Imagineering and Pixar for this attraction, and so many others throughout our parks around the world. So what's it like when these two amazing teams get together to collaborate on design and storytelling?
Well, it's a lot of fun, and it's really an honor to get to work with our colleagues at Pixar. And we've done it for many, many years now. And, we love the stories that they create and the beautiful worlds that they create. And I think they love seeing those stories and worlds come to life in 3 dimensions that you can step into physically as a guest. And of course, there are things that you can do more easily in film than you can do in steel and concrete in the real world. So there's a tremendous collaboration back and forth to take what they created for the films and interpret them into the medium of our theme parks. And so it challenges on both sides, the formats that we work in. And it's just a great deal of fun, though.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I think what at its core, the spirit is the same at both of our studios, right? We're in this to tell great stories, to engage audiences of all ages, and to use new technology and new techniques to bring people into our worlds in a way that they've never been able to see it before. And that's what we get to do with Imagineering. So it's a thrill every time we get that call from Imagineering. I remember it's years ago now when Tom said, hey, you know what? We want to create a Ratatouille attraction and a whole land. And we're like, oh, it's an honor for us that the Imagineers want to bring our stories to life in this way.
And we do, our roots are from animation. I mean, Imagineering grew out of the studio and the talented people that Walt Disney brought over to start WED Enterprises, which became Imagineering. And so we think in a similar fashion. We think from a storytelling perspective. We create storyboards, we create animatics, we create maquette sculptures, we create models. It really is storytelling in a slightly different dimension, but the way we think about projects is in many ways similar. And I think that's why we enjoy and why it's so easy in some ways to work together, because we come from that storytelling and artistic background and focus.
The first time I went down to Imagineering for the Ratatouille ride, and I'd never seen this before. The quarter or 12th scale model where we would sit on a little rolling chair and kind of paddle through it. And you could actually get the effect as if you were in the full-size attraction. And I thought, oh, this is brilliant. And coming from Disney, this must be the way they've evaluated all those rides over the years. So it was fun to be part of that.
Well, we do. That is a tradition of having scale models that you can really get a sense of what it's going to feel like. On this one, the stools were created because it enabled us to get everybody's eye at the right perspective to look at the show scenes. And you'd have to wait your turn to get on the stool. And once you got started, you had to go all the way through the model. There was no backing up. But everything we do is, in those early stages is to try and envision, when you get to steel and concrete and the materials we work with in the park, it's very expensive to make changes. So you try and do your homework as best as possible early on. And we do extensive mock-ups. All of the animation that Pixar created unique for this attraction was looked at on full-scale screens to match what would be in the attraction, to work out, moving eye point and color and lighting and perspective and, what the guests would see. And all of it was in service of really allowing you to get that rat's eye view of the world, which is such a unique part of Ratatouille and such a unique part, I think, of the attraction that we've created.
Yeah, it was so great because when we go into it, we're extending the world as well. And so in the film, Harley, you had designed that moment right near the end of the movie when Remy, in his own bistro kitchen, puts the last detail on a plate of Ratatouille, and then Linguini roller skates it out to serve Ego. But we wanted to know for the first time, well, what did the rest of that kitchen look like? Assuming that now this was a purposely built sort of staffed kitchen, what would it look like? And Harley, it was so great you designed this new set for us that we then got to build and immerse the guests into.
It was really fun. It's like that shot, that little sequence has kind of a cast of thousands, and everybody's doing their own little gag. It's just a very rich experience. But yeah, that took us many weeks as we were working on that. And, Roger, I've got to say, your direction throughout the whole thing, so many wonderful, inventive ideas. The way you've taken the world and expanded on it, it's just very wonderful. It's just been fantastic to get to work with you on it.
Well, that's so sweet. I mean, you gave us such a brilliant world, and the fact that you were with us to help expand it, we see some new plates of food. And of course, in the film, you all on the movie had actually physically made those dishes, photographed them, and recreated them on the computer. And we did the same thing here using our own Luxo Cafe at Pixar. And you art directed them to create these plates of food, which we then photographed obsessively. And then our modelers recreated that food. So it's now part of the animation that you see in the attraction.
Wow, you all are so passionate about this. I just love hearing these stories. So what is it about Ratatouille that made you think this would make for a great theme park attraction?
Well, when we look at source material from the studios and from our partners, we're not trying to tell a book report of that story. We can't compete with that. They have incredible storytelling over many, many minutes, and our attractions are super short. They're just 3 or 4 minutes. So first thing we do is we watch the films to say, what worlds are they creating that you would want to step into? And of course, Ratatouille has a scale change that is so much fun. You have the adult world where all the humans are moving around the kitchen, but then you have the world as seen from the rat's eye view, from Remy's view. And in some ways that harkens back to when you're a child. When you're a little kid, you're looking underneath the dining room table, and the adults are looking down from above. So there is something wondrous about looking up at the world from that perspective. So a scale change world is always something that gets us excited. To be able to step into a world that is vastly different yet recognizable from your own is super fun. And then the second thing we look for are aspirational or exciting adventures that take place within those worlds. So for Ratatouille, when we saw the movie, one of the most exciting parts of the movie is very early on when Remy falls through the skylight window down into the kitchen and then has this harrowing journey of trying to avoid being stepped on by the human chefs that are racing around the kitchen. So that sort of got us hooked in to say that would be fun. In some ways, it harkens back to, like a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, just a really fun chase through a crazy, exciting world. And then, of course, we had to build our story around that. Again, we're not telling a book report, so we have a morphed story. In our story, Remy has this restaurant, and yet Skinner is still the chef in charge of Gusteau's restaurant. So it's a sort of a hybrid world from the film, but it allowed us to create a storyline where Remy is creating a meal for us. He's excited that we have come to see him, and he's pondering what kind of meal he should make. And then we and he fall down into the kitchen. And then most of the body of the ride is us trying to escape the gaze of Skinner, who's looking out and what's going on there. And so along with Linguini helping us, we kind of move from the kitchen to the pantry, back into the kitchen, into the dining room, into the walls. And finally, we make it back into Remy's kitchen, where they're all preparing, as Roger said, all the food for us. And then we have a fun moment where we get popped back by a champagne cork into the dining room, and all the rats are there. Finally, we made it. And so we have a happy ending. Now, in France, we have a restaurant that ends the adventure because it finishes the story. Here in Epcot, we have a creperie that's been added to the land so that when guests get off the ride, or even before, they can go and sample these delicious, sweet and savory crepes. So very important for us to have food as an element of a Ratatouille experience. And so for Epcot, we brought a creperie experience, which we're very excited about.
Well, that sounds so much fun. My next question was take me through the experience, but you have already done that. That sounds really exciting.
I think the key thing that you really dug into is the fact that the film has those two perspectives, and that rat perspective. It's so fun to be small and go on this big adventure. And I remember sitting at one of our conference rooms at Pixar brainstorming with Tom and Harley, talking about what is the ride vehicle? Because if we're shrunk down to rats, maybe it should be a rat. And Harley just did this beautiful sketch of this very graphic, simple rat. And then that became really the basis for the ride vehicle that we all get to go in now.
Absolutely. And it's a ride it's a trackless ride system. And so there is no track below you, and you go off in platoons of 3 rats. And so as you're moving through the attraction, you're swapping places. Roger might be the first rat in a scene, and Harley second, I'm third. In the next scene, I am first. And so that means some guests are coming into a scene earlier, and some guests are leaving a scene later. And so you get to see a slightly different show each time you come in here. Now, of course, we had to make the story transition from the real world to the rat scale world. And that both in Paris and here at Epcot, we use the vernacular of a theater. And a theater is your entrance into the story. And so as you enter from the street into the theater, there are some posters on the left that introduce the stars of our show. And so you see Linguini, and you see Skinner, and you see Remy. So already we're saying these are the stars of the show in this theatrical show. And then as soon as you turn the corner in this theater, suddenly you're now on the rooftops of Paris. And there's the Gusteau sign in front of you from the movie. And here are windows all around you, and you hear dogs barking and people singing, and there's life. You're in Paris, the life of Paris, but you're up on the rooftops, just as Remy was when he first came into Paris and came out and had that grand reveal of the Gusteau sign and said, I'm here in Paris, I'm at Gusteau's. And then the magic starts because the Gusteau sign comes to life just as in the movie, but he's talking to us. He's setting up the story about the best food in the world is in France, and Chef Remy is cooking for you tonight. Don't be late. And he actually says that in French and English, which is something that's unique for this attraction, I think. When we created the Ratatouille attraction for Paris, because of our audience at Disneyland Paris is made up of French, of course, and English-speaking guests, we had to design the show and the script of the show to work in both French and English. And when we were bringing Ratatouille to Epcot, we thought, well, why don't we bring it in its original form? Why don't we bring it in French and English? Because the script was written to explain everything in both languages. I think this is the first bilingual show we've put into Epcot. And how wonderful that when you go to the France Pavilion, you can hear the beautiful French language as part of your experience.
Wow, that's so fun. And it's really neat how you incorporate that language component too, to keep it really authentic. So I have a question for those of you with Pixar. What's it like working in the theme park environment when you're so used to the animation environment?
Well, I'm a very lucky person. I've been working full-time with Imagineering for, I guess, over 15 years now, collaborating with Tom and many other teams around the world with parks and resorts to bring our characters and stories to life. And it's nothing that I ever dreamed of as a child. I always dreamt of being an animator and achieved that. And then this opportunity opened up, and it has just been a dream. It's so thrilling to see our imaginary worlds brought into physical life, to be able to walk down, Route 66 in Cars Land, or be able to walk around Remy's Paris. It's just thrilling. And the Imagineers, I think, as Tom says, we all come really from the same spirit. It's Walt's spirit, really, but that spirit of storytelling and animation and immersion, it's fantastic. And I've loved it. We keep sucking Harley in because as the designer of Monsters, Inc. and Ratatouille and other films, we've often been able to bring him into this story.
I have such great memories of working on those films. It's just a kick to get to go back into that world again, whether it's Monsters or Ratatouille or some of the films coming up. That it's just a pleasure it's like being with old friends, and to see them put together so spectacularly. I was going to add to what Tom was talking about, the dynamics and new technology involved in the 3D experience within the ride is something I'd never experienced before. The falling down through the skylight, the dynamics of the ride car are so completely tuned to what's happening on the screens, and the 3D elements mixed with the animated elements. It's sort of flawless. And my hat is off to you guys, because it's kind of a perfect realization in full scale of the movie we were working on.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably a 99.9% overlap between people at the studio who love animation and love the Disney parks. It's pretty much one and the same. And so what was so fun in creating all this original, unique animation for the attraction is that we were able to have the animators who had worked on the film come back and bring these characters to life anew. Although we had a few new animators who hadn't worked. So for some, it was working with old friends, and for others, it was like working with a celebrity. I get to animate Remy, so it was so fun bringing this world back to life.
All right, so here's the flip side of that question I just asked. How is designing a theme park attraction similar to creating a film? Do you use any techniques in developing an experience that are similar to filmmaking?
We do. We approach storytelling in a similar fashion, and we spend a lot of time working early to get the story clear, fun, surprising, simple. So yes, we storyboard, we build maquettes, we build models, we do animatics. We create them in slightly different ways because of the ride system way. We had, in some of our mock-ups, we had projectors that were literally there only to project circles that represented the vehicles on the floor, so that we could walk in those circles and watch the animation to make sure that the moving eye point, the perspective of the scene, would work with the ride vehicle. So we have, Pixar is always pushing the boundaries of art and technology with each movie. And we do the same. We never do anything twice, it seems. We're always trying to find the next level of fun, because our end goal is to immerse you so completely in the fantasy that you can have that suspension of disbelief and be a child again and really believe in fantasy and magic 1,000,000%. And I think that's what's so fun about the parks. Everyone can be a child again. Everyone can have the fun of stepping into a wondrous world and laughing and being surprised and enjoying it together as a group or a family or friends, a shared experience.
Yeah, what's so brilliant about the film that Brad Bird wrote and directed is that it celebrates passion. And ultimately, it shows that passion can bring different people together. Remy's passion brings his rat family and his rat world together with the human world in a beautiful way. And I think that's what's so wonderful about the attraction, is that in a way we get to experience that as well. We're brought together with our family and friends. Remy welcomes us to create a meal for us to enjoy, and we go on a great adventure. By the end, we're laughing and just happen to have been together and creating a special memory.
Well, to wrap up our discussion, let me ask you, what does Remy's Ratatouille adventure bring to Epcot? And what will our guests expect to take away after they've experienced this attraction?
When we make a film at Pixar, we hope, if we do it right, that when the audience watches the movie, they go on an emotional journey with our characters and they really create an emotional bond with them. And that at the end of the film, they know that the world doesn't cease to exist. Paris continues, Remy's life continues. And what's so fantastic is that they have this emotional bond with these characters. They want to spend more time with them. And now when they go to Epcot, that story can continue.
Because now when they leave the Paris that they've known and loved for many years, and they go down the LA and turn the corner, there's a whole new Ratatouille land. And now they can have further adventures with Remy and their friends from Ratatouille in a whole new way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tom, Roger, Harley. Thank you for this wonderful, exciting conversation. I certainly can't wait to get a taste of the excitement when Remy's Ratatouille adventure opens next year. And thank you to all of you watching. We hope you've enjoyed this look at the magic of possibility taking place at Epcot, and continue to enjoy the exciting content still ahead in this week's D23 Fantastic World Celebration.
Thanks for joining us for D23's Fantastic World Celebration. Keep the fun going all year round with a D23 Gold membership. Take your love of all things Disney to the next level with exclusive Gold member benefits like our quarterly publication and annual Gold member gift. And for a limited time, get a complimentary D23 Fantastic Worlds pin set when you buy a new Gold or Gold Family membership. And we have even more in store for you with our D23 Season of Magic. Check back on D23.com, where we'll be celebrating the joy of the holidays and those Disney traditions that connect us all. For more information on D23, the official Disney fan club, and how to become a Gold member, visit D23.com/join.